Hello and welcome along to another episode of this FM21 Build a Nation story from Bangor City with me, Daniel. It's part 79 today and we have got another one of our big home Champions League games as promised. Thomas Tuchel in this alternative universe still at PSG and his side come to face us at the racecourse this evening before in 3 days time is a big game at the top of the Welsh Premier League. Because for the first time in a number of years, the title race could get well out of sight. We face TNS, who are 7 points clear, having played a game more, and they'll be looking to make it 10. We're going to have to rest everyone after the Paris Saint-Germain game, and thankfully, after beating Barry, we've edged out on those. But I'm a little bit worried about this season, because domestically, there's going to be a title fight. We can tell that for sure. So if you're looking forward to finding out how we get on in both competitions and both big games, please do put a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe down below for daily FM21 content from 2 long-term stories. A massive thank you for your support as always, both on this channel and over on the new Twitch channel as well. It really is greatly appreciated. But let's go and crack on with what's been happening since you were last with me. So transfer news wise, there's not really a huge amount going on. One big bit of news, I guess, is that one of our best young players has turned 17 from the under-19 squad, outside the ones that you already know about. So Aaron Gibbons is 2-star ability, 3.5 potential, but he's a winger, and he's not someone that suits the way we play. So we've sent him to Barrytown United, where he scored 2 in 3. He's looking a really good player already, and I'm hoping that one of those clubs will sign him afterwards, because he looks like a proper talent. If we can keep him in the Welsh League, with his personality, with his attributes, he could be a great asset for them or for TNS potentially moving forward. So that's something that could be a big moment for Welsh football, as well as what's happened in the window already. But if we go and have a look at our recent results, it's been a little bit of a mixed bag, to be honest. You were with me for the brilliant performance against Shakhtar and the narrow escape against Kefin Druids. We followed it up with a relatively comfortable 2-0 win in the second half against Airbus in the League Cup. Harvey Lewis and Max Dean got the goals there. A 4-1 win away to rivals Bala. Maguire, Pringle and Jones put us 3-0 up. Lee Cooper got one back on the hour mark for Bala, but it was immediately cancelled out by Elliot Andrew. We then lost 3-1 away at Arsenal. 2 of those goals coming quite late on. It was a really good effort in the end, and Joe Duffy got our consolation. What did follow it though was back-to-back games against Aberystwyth. The first one, we played largely our first team. We won 4-0. Joe Duffy got a brace, Badebo and Dean got one apiece. And then when the reserves came out a few days later, we were beaten 1-0. Owen McMinamy, our former youth player who was poached at a young age, he got the goal for the visitors. And to be honest, we didn't really look like scoring. He's having another great season, McMinamy, 10 goals in 12 games in the league. And it really has put a bit of daylight between ourselves and TNS, that result. So something we've got to be wary of. We did bounce back against Hearts Reserves in the SPFL Trust Trophy 4th round. A Duffy brace, an Andrew goal and Daniel Williams coming back from injury too. Before what threatened to be another disaster. We had to bring on some big guns, and fortunately one of the young stars got a goal for us. Harvey Lewis, with 10 minutes to go, gave us a 1-0 win against Barry in what could have been another embarrassing display. But into this one we go. We'll have largely a first team available. It's PSG. We've got to prioritise the Champions League. But we've also got to avoid falling behind in a title race. And that's something I'm not sure we can do at the moment. So let's go and get into this double header. Everything's still looking good at the club, but we haven't got the squad to compete at this level. And that's something I am a little alarmed about. So if we have a look at the lineup for today, I've gone for what I perceive to be the strongest 11 on paper. There's a little bit of an argument about the Cottrell-Maguire situation in the number 10, though Tom Jones will overtake them both soon. But for now, it means we've got George Wickens in goal. Riley developing really well at right back. He's having a good season, he's developing, and he's starting to become our Kai McDonald that we had a couple of years ago. Weaver's over on the left with McDermott and Badebo at centre-half. Harvey Lewis, definitely the strongest holding midfielder now. Really improving, still only 19 years of age, and will become homegrown at the club. So that's something that's going to have a massive impact too, particularly in terms of homegrown status for the Champions League and Europa League in the future. We've got Cannell and Brooks in the middle of the diamond, Cottrell in the number 10, and Dean and Duffy up front. I mean, Elliot Andrews arguably had the best season of all the strikers in terms of goals per game, but Dean is still the one who on the biggest stage often turns up with a goal. The likes of Andrew, Maguire, Williams, 3 of those we've mentioned on the bench, the experience of Woods, the quality of Jack Hankin from the Youth Academy, and Greg Pringle, the loanee, who's been a bit of a disappointment in truth. Glatzel's coming back from injury, he'll create competition. There's a couple of other youngsters getting up to speed now as well. but that is our strongest 11. So let's go and get into it and see if we can at least compete with the French giants. So PSG are a side littered with players that were wonder kids in this game. Mbappe is joined up front by Mason Greenwood, the Manchester United wonder kid, and João Pedro, the Watford superstar. In the middle, they've got Gravenberch alongside Camavinga, Florentino Luis, who we had at Barcelona last year in the head coach. And then at the back, it's Eric Garcia of Man City, Reece James of Chelsea, and Theo Hernandez, who had formerly been at Real Madrid and PSG as well. So much quality in this side, it's going to be almost impossible. We'll probably have to drop to balance very quickly, but I just want to see if for the first 10 minutes, we can potentially go out and scare them. The race course is packed, it'll be great for the finances again, but I don't think we're going to be lucky enough to get a repeat of the Shakhtar result. I could be proven wrong though. Let's go and see. Well, the fact that we're seeing the game from the kickoff is probably not a good sign. The first highlight is PSG comfortably laying it around. And a front three of Mbappe, Greenwood and João Pedro is frightening. Mbappe delivers, Greenwood in, Pedro heads in. 19 seconds on the clock. We'll drop to balanced, I think. All three of them combining. I mean, what do? It's a player, Keegan Riley, let's get the perspective here. Keegan Riley was playing for Exeter last year. He's coming up against Mbappe, a man marking him. Greenwood is playing through the middle. He's man marked by McDermott, who was in Middlesbrough's 23s. And Iestyn Weaver has only ever played here at senior football level or for Wales under 21s. And he's coming up against João Pedro. Mbappe's made it 2-0 in 2.5 minutes. I'm not really sure what else we can do. I think we just have to accept this is going to be a very long night. It's PSG 2-0 up here at Bangor City already. And with 5 minutes gone, what do we keep the goal difference down to? Anything under 10 is good? I don't know what to judge it by. They've got to be one of the best sides in world football. It's a star-studded lineup. And here they come again. Look at the fluency of the football. James gets it out to the right-hand side, in towards Mbappe again. And he's off the line. I think what we might do is just drop the fullbacks to defensive duties, give them no attacking responsibilities whatsoever. And maybe that gives us a little bit more solidity. But otherwise, it's just holding on for dear life, isn't it? So let's go and get into it. 12 minutes gone. They've only had 2 shots on target. That's the positive. The problem is they've scored them both. Arsenal have taken a lead against Shakhtar. So that we're thinking about 3rd place potentially. If we can nick a win away at Shakhtar, that will be good on a head-to-head record. We need to stay on the same points, because we're certainly not getting one here. And we're seeing the difference here between PSG and certainly Shakhtar, but even Arsenal as well. It's a completely different kettle of fish in terms of performance. The front three look tuned in. The midfield three are dominant on the ball. And we just can't compete. As Wickens plays out to Badebo and McDermott, to Lewid, wide to Weaver. That's nice football. But by the time that we've brought it under control, they're already on us like a flash. They're that quick. They're that agile. And they're pressing us so high. As Weaver's then forced long, concedes possession. And they can play out from the back as Mbappe comes deep to get it. Goes wide to Theo Hernandez. Taking on the fullback who's frightened to go and chase him. And he gets towards the byline. Cuts it back to Gravenberch. He cuts inside to Florentino Luis. There's 2 over every time. I mean, this is going to be a mauling, isn't it? João Pedro's in. There's the 3rd. We're not good enough. I mean, we're essentially a pro side in a semi-pro league. The fact we're 7 points behind TNS and we've lost to Aberystwyth and those already this year, how can we expect to compete with Paris Saint-Germain? We can't. The problem I have is 3 days later, after these boys have spent 90 minutes chasing the ball, how on earth are we then going to compete against TNS with half of this side and half a backup side? There are a lot of questions that are going to be asked after this game, and I don't know that we're ready to answer them all, as George Wickens plays out from the back to Badebo. I think we're probably in a situation here where we have to enjoy the experience. Let's just revel in the fact that we're playing against PSG in the Champions League. As Max Dean gets in, drags his shot wide of the post. I mean, they've barely had a kick, the front two. They probably don't know what the ball looks like. Half time though, I probably feared a lot worse after 2.5 minutes. So let's ask the lads to show something else, just to put that little bit more in. Because as good as PSG are thin, I don't think we've been at our best. As it comes into Gravenberch, and it's just like the first half. 2 minutes gone in the second, it's 4-0 PSG. And that one was an easy one from a set piece. You probably can't excuse those at any level. And here they come again. 5 minutes gone in the second half. Mbappe picks it up. He looks like he could pick the ball up off the keeper and run the length of the pitch and score himself every single time. The problem with that is we can't mark him out of the game. Because as he's just proven there, João Pedro looks the same. Mason Greenwood looks the same. Gravenberch looks the same. Camavinga as well. Wickens got completely done with the finish. The eyes did him there from Pedro. 5-0, only 10 gone in the second half. And as the legs tire, as we run out of steam, I worry about how ugly this could get in truth. 25 minutes to go. Let's go and make a couple of subs. Should we just shore things up a little bit? I think we have to. I'm going to take Joe Duffy off, but I'm going to replace him with Archie Woods. And I'm going to put 2 holding midfielders in. Because what more can we do? I was going to take Lewid off, but the fact is now he's got his yellow card. It's irrelevant doing it anyway. So we'll have a ball-winning midfielder on defend and a defensive midfielder on defend. We'll just leave Dean running up front on his own. In the middle, Cannell's knackered, so he'll be replaced by Daniel Williams. And then Jack Hankin maybe deserves a run out. We'll get him on. Just because he's from the academy, he can have a chance instead of Keegan Riley. And let's be honest, you can't mark Mbappe for 90 minutes. It's a little bit tiring. So Hankin gets a go instead. We have had 1 shot on target, not that we've seen it on camera. So there is a positive there. And we've kept it to 5. After 3 minutes, we were 2-0 down. And in the next 75, we've only conceded 3. There are some positives to this game. But a wonderful PSG side who are surely going to compete for this trophy. I don't know if they've won it yet in this career. I'd be surprised if not based on that. But it's a 5-0 defeat to start the episode. And these boys, I mean, they did what they could. I tried to praise them. I tried to keep them positive. But it was a mauling. They were just too good. We'll be back in a moment to face TNS and try and bounce back from that pretty heavy defeat. We're back then 3 days later to face TNS in a crunch match in the title race. They're 7 points clear. They've played 1 game more. And if we don't win this game, potentially, it could be out of our hands even if we beat TNS in the other games this season. It's not really the situation where we can leave things. They've dropped 2 points all year. We've already lost 2 games. Barry are beating Bala. They're keeping the pressure on us. They'd go up to 29 as it stands. So there's a little bit of pressure mounting on us domestically here. And even if we look at the transfer rumours, TNS are being linked with some cracking players. So Danny Mandrew is a player who's been at Salford, Leyton Orient, Bohemians over in Ireland, and is as good as the ones that we've got. He's 2.5-star ability. That's what our number 10s are ranked as. So they are looking a lot better now. They're looking at a higher level. And I don't think it's long before they reach Europe, certainly the group stages. But for us still, it's a case of must get a result territory. So let's go and have a look at what we've gone for today. On a very quick side note though, PSG, who we played in the last game, I feel a little bit better about now. If we go and find them in the schedule, because they are actually the holders of the Champions League. So just as proof there. Holders, they won it last year. So that's why they're so good. They beat Arsenal, they beat Shakhtar by 4-1. We've got nothing to be ashamed of. So Bangor City are home to TNS. It's going to be a really important game. And I think the first question we've got here is how many of this team are going to be fit? And the answer is 3 of them aren't even at best condition. Another, 1, 2, 3, 4 have got a heavy match load. So realistically, the most we can have in that 11 is 4. I'd love to trust those with the heavy match load, but even then, we've got another game in 3 days in a League Cup quarter-final against a very tough Barry Town side. Then yes, we've got Haverfordwest at the weekend, which should be a game we can rest people. But last season they were shocking the big boys, and then it's PSG 3 days after again. It is a relentless schedule once you reach this competition. And because we've been chasing the ball so much, which we're really not used to, this is part of the consequence. So I'm going to go and reshape the 11. We'll go as strong as we can with the players that are fit. We'll be back in a moment to run through it. Right, the bench maybe looks a bit sparsely populated, but largely, bar a couple of areas in the back 4, I'm pretty happy with the 11. So in goal is still George Wickens, Hankinen at right back, McDermott right centre half, Rogers and Lee Heat perhaps slightly weak in the rest of it. In midfield is a strong 4 of Woods, Williams, Maguire, who were all first choice last year, and the young signing in the summer, Paddy Malone. And then up front, Max Dean is joined by Greg Pringle. We've still got Andrew on the bench, we've got the returning Glatzel, and the likes of Cottrell and Jones for attacking quality. More youngsters defensively because the other boys are out of puff from the week. But it still should be a good enough squad to at least compete. Now, can we do it? That's a very different question. As you saw briefly, 8 changes from the last game, and it's a very good TNS side. Still Tom Clifford and Billy Vigar at the club. The likes of Cutbush, I mean, the whole 11 is a top-level side now. They've even got strength in depth on the bench. The likes of Ronan Hughes, the likes of Harry Manton, who would have been first-choice players for them even a year ago. It's a very good football team, and they're not far off probably the standard of our backup team as a whole. And the fact that we're having to bed youngsters in doesn't help us. But we really need a result today. We're going to go and switch the roles of Pringle and Dean. And then we're just going to try and break them down. Because on the counter, we know they're going to be a threat. Well, 8 minutes on the clock, and it's a TNS throw, but Maguire has nicked it off Cutbush and is surging down the left-hand side. There's a 2-on-2 up top. Pringle's one of them, rounds the keeper and scores. And Greg Pringle has not had the finest start to his spell at Bangor City, but he scored a big goal here against TNS. 1-0 with 9 minutes on the clock. Now, don't concede straight away, as Noah Daly picks it up on the right. Has been on fire at the start of this season. We know from Cliftonville in FM20 how good a player he can be. His cross is intercepted by Rogers there, but Heath's there to recycle it straight away to Palmer, to Heath again, up towards Vigar. Flicks on, McDermott gets there and mops up comfortably to George Wickens. Plays a 1-2, it's wide to Jack Hankin at right back. Can we get on top early? Dean's in again, looked offside by a mile. I don't know if the flag's up, it wasn't. He rounded him and hit the post, he should have scored it. And it would have doubled our lead and maybe even wrapped up the game. But the good thing is, the boys look like they've come out with a point to prove. As Williams goes back to McDermott. Long ball forward is headed away. It's only as far as Williams again though. And this is the through ball we're picking them up with. As Antwi intercepts, he finds Ewing. Long ball forward again. It is a very direct game here from both sides. Antwi nicks it off the right back, but it's into Maguire. Beats one man. Beats the second challenge. Through towards Pringle. He scored again, but it's disallowed. Nothing to get too excited about yet. It's been a wonderful game of direct football. Chances at both ends. But I'm a little bit concerned because we've not taken our chances and TNS still look a threat on the break. But the boys have come out with something to prove and that is very important. As Leahy gives it to Woods. We're coming forward again through the defensive lines with Malone. To Maguire. To Williams. Up to Dean. Wide to Jack Hankin on the right hand side. Takes on the fullback and goes back to Williams. He goes into his own centre-half McDermott, who plays a 1-2 with him. Lovely reverse ball for Pringle. He scored again. And this time, despite it looking suspicious, the assistant referee's flag does not go up. Greg Pringle with 2, Bangor City with 2. And a wonderful opportunity for us to get back in the title race. Brilliant start in this match. 2-0 with half an hour gone. And there's the half-time whistle. Just what we needed. A really calm, confident display. It'll give us a chance to make changes later. We've got youngsters on the bench like Jones, Sinclair, Holding, 3 of them brilliant youngsters. But can we get on top and get a third to wrap this game up? And even a Pringle hat-trick would be a big confidence boost. This time Maguire hits the post, Clifford clears it long, but it's all Bangor City. This is the performance we've been waiting a while for. And I feel like it could help us turn a corner, particularly in domestic competitions. I say that, we'll probably come back next time and have gone out the League Cup the very next game. As Hankin tries to intercept at right back, Antwi beats him, gets towards the byline on the left wing, crosses for TNS to Billy Vigar, and it's just over the crossbar. A little behind him, didn't connect with it perfectly, but still a threat, and that's what we've got to be a little wary of here. It's not all going to be plain sailing, but I think with 25 to go, we can start to think about changes. As Clifford throws in from the left to Antwi. A few more chances for TNS in this second half. Maguire nicks it though to Williams, to Pringle. He's got Dean running off him. He's beaten the last man. He's in one-on-one. Has he got the composure? It's a brilliant tackle from Blackburn. Flew back and got a leg on it. And it remains 2-0. Brilliant defending. So with 20 minutes to go, we will make some changes. We've got to look at who's been the poorest and who's been a little bit more fatigued. So Hankin at right back will be replaced by Holding. We're going to bring on Jones in centre midfield for Williams, who's still coming back from injury. And we're also going to take off Woods in a holding role. Malone will drop down there and Martin Sinclair will come on left side of the diamond. So 3 young players on. It's a good opportunity here. But we've got to confidently wrap up the game. We've restricted TNS really well so far. But they've got more subs on now. So they're going to have fresh legs and they're going to be going more direct than ever. As Clifford throws in from the left to Vigar. We saw against Kefan Druids what can happen in these games if we're not careful. And this one is a much harder one. Vigar up towards Hughes. Leahy heads away. And Pringle's got there first. He's been brilliant today. Almost a one-man team, you could say. Finds the left back again. Chips it forward. Dean flicks on for Maguire. Through to Pringle on the hat-trick. Scores the hat-trick. Brilliant team move. Excellent triangle. 3-0 Bangor City. Game over. And the title race, although not back in our hands, most certainly back on. And here we come again. It's Peter Holding the youngster with a throw. An advanced position to play a 1-2 with Dean. Tom Jones crosses. Pringle's in again. 4 for Greg Pringle. He's found his feet in this one all right. And I tell you what, given Max Dean's recent form, I think Pringle and Duffy is the way forward. I'm going to give it an extended go in the first team games. But 4 goals for Pringle, 4 for Bangor City, a brilliant assist from the youngster Tom Jones off the bench, and the title race firmly back in our grasp. With 4 points behind, with 1 game in hand, and we've kept TNS in our sights. That's all we could have asked for from this game. The boys came out and produced their best of the season. That's all we could have asked for. As you can see then, very much back in the title race, and we've got the goal difference back in our favour. So good news there. We're still level on points with Shakhtar in the Champions League, so if we can nick a miracle result or even a higher scoring draw away from home, and the other 2 sides beat Shakhtar again, we could yet nick third with 2 points. I know it's a tough ask, but we did play well against Shakhtar, so fingers crossed that's not out of the question yet. We've got a tough quarter-final in the SPFL Trust Trophy. We had to Partick Thistle there, and of course in the League Cup quarter-final this midweek, it's Barrytown United, who we struggled to get away in the league. But a wonderful display against TNS, who are currently the champions-elect. That was bouncing back off an awful mauling by PSG. But we knew it was coming. They're a wonderful side, and there's a reason they won the competition last year. But we are going to be back for the final home game of the Champions League group stage. It's a big one, and it could be crucial depending on our result in Ukraine. And around that, we'll also have Kefin Druids, who we failed last time. There's a Welsh Cup game just before. So we'll show 2 games around that point. If they're close together and there's not too much in between, I might even show both Champions League games. We'll wait and see. But if you did enjoy this episode and that wonderful contrast of performances, please do put a thumbs up on the video. I think it shows we've got a long way to go as a side in Europe, as a nation. But TNS, a really disappointing performance from them when it mattered most. Are they potentially going to throw away the title again? We'll have to wait and see as the season goes on. If you haven't already, subscribe down below and turn that notification bell on. You'll get alerts as daily content releases from 2 long-term stories. We'll also have a couple of unique bonus videos over the next few weeks as we're trying a couple of additional things as well. So keep your eyes peeled for those. And thank you for your support both on this channel and over on the new Twitch channel as well. But a big thanks for watching and your continued support as always. I do really appreciate it. And I'll see you next time for big games in the Champions League, because we could get our lowest ever points total finish to get 3rd place in the Champions League groups. I'll see you next time to find out if we can do it.